Lucas and Cora, eager to give their two young kids a taste of responsibility, decided to adopt Rex, a retired police dog. With his disciplined demeanor and gentle nature, he seemed like the perfect fit for the family. However, during Rex's first routine vet checkup, the atmosphere turned unexpectedly tense. The vet, after examining Rex, looked up with an expression that sent chills down Lucas and Cora's spines. "What? That cannot be real!" Cora exclaimed. She and Lucas were at the vet's office with Rex, and they had just told the vet that Rex had been behaving strangely lately. And now, the vet told them what he thought was going on with their new dog. And they were shocked. It was not something they had ever expected, and they were very worried. If this was true, they needed to take it very seriously. They immediately went to the police station, needing to speak to an officer about the situation. They needed help with this. It was not safe. As soon as Rex's old handler laid eyes on Rex, he knew that something was off. "It's good that you came to see me. This is serious," he said. What did the vet tell them? Why did they take Rex to the police? And why was he behaving so strangely? "Come on, Rex, let's go for a walk," Sam called out. His parents had recently adopted an ex-police dog, and Sam was now practicing taking him out for walks all by himself. Rex was very easygoing and he listened well, so Sam didn't have any trouble walking him alone. But recently, he started behaving a bit strangely. At first, Rex loved going on walks and playing outside, and it did not matter to him much who he was going with. But lately, Sam could barely get him to leave the house anymore without his parents, no matter how much he tried to lure him with snacks or by repeating the words walk and park over and over. This was odd, because when they first adopted him, he had seemed very confident and independent. He listened well, and he followed the rules, and he did not mind being left alone for a while. Everything was much easier than Cora and Lucas had expected, and it was a nice surprise. But there were significant changes in his behavior now. Rex had become very clingy, and he did not like to be left alone without Lucas or Cora. They assumed that this behavior was just a reaction to his retirement. They knew that his last mission had been very difficult, and they had been warned that he might show signs of restlessness, anxiety, or even aggression. Their assumption was wrong, though. His new family decided to wait it out and give Rex some time to adjust to his new lifestyle and surroundings. They expected it to get better with time, and they did not think it was necessary to seek help just yet. But soon, they would find out the shocking truth about what was going on, and it would not be what they expected. A few weeks after they adopted Rex, it was time for his first routine checkup at the vet. As they were on their way to the clinic, they decided it would be a good idea to ask the vet about Rex's strange behavior. It still had not changed, and they were getting worried about him. They just wanted to make sure he was okay. When they finally arrived at the clinic, the receptionist told them, "Please, take a seat in the waiting room. Dr. Roberts will be with you shortly." Only minutes later, the vet appeared on the doorstep and called Rex's name, after which they quickly got up and followed him into his office. The moment had finally come. They shook the vet's hand and sat down at his desk after the vet closed the door. "Good morning. My name is Dr. Roberts. I understand that you recently adopted Rex, is that correct?" he asked. Then he proceeded to ask some questions about how Rex was adjusting to everything, and Cora knew this was the moment to tell him about Rex's odd behavior. She told Dr. Roberts in detail about the adoption process and the recent changes in Rex's behavior. She explained that he was very clingy lately, and he did not like to be left alone at home. "Doctor, do you think this has something to do with his retirement?" she asked worriedly, hoping to find out what she could do to help him. However, the vet's reaction was not what she had hoped for. He looked up at Cora with a very serious and dark look on his face, and he said, "No, I don't think this has anything to do with the adoption." Lucas and Cora's face turned pale, and they immediately thought that Rex was sick. "I'm just going to check some things first, okay?" the vet said. Dr. Roberts stood up and approached Rex, first letting him sniff his hand. Then he performed a routine physical examination, checking Rex's eyes and ears, his mouth and teeth, and so on. The good news was that everything seemed perfectly fine and Rex was a very healthy dog. But the vet also had something else to tell the family. I have worked with many police dogs in my career, and the signs Rex is showing here are obvious. I advise you to get in touch with Rex's old handler at the police station. You see, Rex is behaving like this because he thinks you're in danger, Dr. Roberts told Lucas and Cora. He sounded very serious. Lucas stammered, "No then, that can't be right. Why would he think that?" And he chuckled nervously. The vet continued, "I don't want to scare you, but you should take this very seriously. Rex has been trained for things like this, and he knows how to recognize the signs." Cora was silent and kept her eyes on Rex. She was shocked. "Okay, doctor. Thanks for the advice. We'll get in touch with someone from the police station right away," she finally said. They shook the vet's hands again and left his office, both very caught off guard by this news. "Honey, that can't be right, can it?" Lucas asked his wife. She told him she didn't know, and they made their way to the police station. They'd find out soon. "Rex, what are you trying to tell us?" Cora asked him as she put him in his crate on the back seat. She replayed everything of the last couple of weeks and tried to remember if she had seen anything suspicious or out of the ordinary that would show they were in danger, but she couldn't think of a single thing. She just couldn't believe that what the vet had told them was true, but she didn't want to ignore it. A little later, they arrived at the police station and they went inside with Rex, who seemed very happy to be back there again. Cora was sure that it would all be a misunderstanding. Of course, they were not in danger. Right? "Hi, buddy. What are you doing here? Did you miss us?" an officer said when she spotted Rex, a big smile on her face. However, that smile faded away as soon as she saw Cora and Lucas's expression. "Oh, is everything all right?" she asked. Cora sighed and said, "Well, that's what we want to find out." The police station's doors swung open, revealing the bustling environment of officers moving about, phones ringing, and the distant hum of radio chatter. Cora, Lucas, and Rex hesitated for a moment, taking in the scene. As they stepped in, the noise seemed to dim slightly, many eyes turning their way. Among them was Officer Martins, who approached with a warm, welcoming smile. "You must be Cora and Lucas," she said, extending a hand. "And this must be Rex." Officer Martins had a firm yet gentle handshake, her eyes reflecting years of experience. "I'm Officer Jane Martins," she introduced herself, her gaze shifting to Rex. "I've heard a lot about you, Rex." The dog wagged his tail, sensing the familiarity in her voice. It was evident that while they might not have worked directly together, Officer Martins had a deep connection with the K9 unit and its members. As they began their walk to Officer Martin's office, the station seemed like a maze of corridors and rooms. Rex, however, moved with a sense of purpose, his nose occasionally lifting as if catching familiar scents. Every so often, an officer would stop to pat Rex or exchange a few words with Officer Martins. The journey was a walk down memory lane for Rex, and the station's walls echoed with tales of bravery and camaraderie. Upon entering Officer Martins's office, the room felt like a sanctuary amidst the station's chaos. The walls were adorned with framed photographs of various police dogs, plaques of recognition, and even a few toys scattered on the floor. A large, comfortable-looking dog bed lay in one corner. "This is where some of our retired K9s come to relax when they visit," Officer Martins explained, her pride evident. "It's a space of comfort and memories." Cora took a deep breath, the weight of their concerns pressing on her. With Lucas's reassuring hand on her shoulder, she began, "Officer Martins, we're here because we're worried about Rex." She recounted their visit to the vet, the observations they'd made, and the unsettling feeling that something wasn't right. As she spoke, Officer Martins listened intently, her eyes never leaving Rex, who lay calmly by her desk, as if sensing the gravity of the conversation. Officer Martins leaned forward slightly, her trained eyes observing Rex's every move. The dog, though calm, had a certain alertness to him. His ears perked up at every sound, and his eyes darted protectively between Cora and Lucas. "He's on guard," she murmured, noting the way Rex positioned himself between the door and his family, a subtle but clear protective stance. Cora cleared her throat, her voice wavering with concern. "It started a few weeks ago," she began. "Rex became different, more attentive, more watchful. He'd growl at shadows and bark at the slightest noise." Lucas chimed in. "He's always by our side, especially when the kids are around. It's like he's constantly on high alert." Their words painted a picture of a dog who felt a pressing need to protect, even in the safety of his own home. The room was thick with tension. Officer Martin's gaze remained fixed on Rex, her fingers tapping a slow rhythm on her desk. The silence was palpable, each second stretching longer than the last. Cora and Lucas exchanged anxious glances, waiting for the officer to speak, to provide some insight or assurance. But for now, Officer Martins was lost in thought, piecing together the puzzle before her. In the silence, Officer Martin's mind wandered back to her earlier days with the K9 unit. She remembered a younger Rex, full of energy and determination. She recalled the countless hours of training, the missions they'd embarked on, and the unspoken bond between handler and dog. Those memories brought a flood of emotions, reminding her of the deep connection and understanding she shared with these loyal companions. Drawing a deep breath, Officer Martins finally broke the silence. "Rex is an exceptional dog," she began, her voice filled with respect. "His behavior isn't random. He's sensing something, responding to something." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "While I can't pinpoint the exact cause right now, I do believe your concerns are valid. Rex's reactions are consistent with his training, and it's essential we understand what's triggering them." Officer Martins leaned back in her chair, her eyes reflecting years of experience. "In my years with the K9 unit," she began, "I've seen dogs pick up on things we humans often overlook. Their senses are heightened, their training impeccable." She looked at Rex, who lay attentively by Cora's side. "Rex is no exception. He's been trained to detect and respond to threats, even the subtlest ones." She continued, "There are telltale signs when a police dog senses danger. The heightened alertness, the protective positioning, the constant vigilance. These aren't just random behaviors." Officer Martins gestured towards Rex. "See how he's always placing himself between potential entry points and you? That's a classic protective stance. He's guarding you, ensuring nothing gets past him." Cora's hands clenched in her lap, her knuckles turning white. Lucas, sensing her distress, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Their eyes met, sharing a mutual concern. The weight of Officer Martin's words settled heavily on them. They had hoped for a simple explanation, perhaps a minor adjustment period for Rex. But now, the reality of a potential threat loomed large, casting a shadow over their previous sense of security. Seeing their distress, Officer Martins took a decisive tone. "Given Rex's behavior and the potential implications, I believe it's crucial to involve someone who knows him even better than I do." She picked up her phone, quickly dialing a number. "I'm calling Officer Daniels, Rex's old handler. He'll have insights into Rex's training and might be able to shed more light on this situation." The gravity of the situation hit Cora and Lucas hard. Their thoughts immediately turned to their children, left alone at home. "We need to get back," Lucas said urgently, rising from his seat. Cora nodded in agreement, her face pale with worry. "Thank you, Officer Martins. Please ask Officer Daniels to meet us at our home." With that, the couple hurried out, Rex in tow, each step echoing their mounting concern. The car's engine roared to life as Lucas turned the ignition. Cora, her face etched with worry, quickly buckled up. The streets became a blur as Lucas navigated the quickest route home. Each red light or minor delay heightened their anxiety. The silence in the car was punctuated only by their rapid breathing and the occasional glance they shared, each understanding the other's unspoken fears. As the car pulled into the driveway, the front door burst open, revealing their two children, who looked puzzled at their parents' sudden return. Cora practically leaped out of the car, rushing to embrace them tightly. Lucas soon joined, wrapping his arms around the entire family. The warmth of the hug, the familiar scents, and the sound of their children's laughter provided a momentary relief from the day's tension. Inside, as the kids played with Rex, Cora, and Lucas, exchanged a concerned look. "Should we tell them?" Cora whispered, her eyes darting towards the children. Lucas sighed, rubbing his temples. "I don't want to scare them, but they have a right to know if something's amiss." The weight of the decision pressed on them, the balance between protection and honesty hanging in the balance. Gathering their courage, Lucas and Cora called the kids into the living room. With gentle words and careful phrasing, they explained that Rex had been acting protectively and that they were taking steps to ensure everyone's safety. They emphasized the importance of being cautious and alert without delving into specifics. The children, mature for their age, nodded in understanding, their trust in their parents evident. The evening had settled in, a soft glow emanating from the living room lamps when a knock echoed through the house. Rex's ears perked up, his tail wagging as he recognized the familiar scent. Opening the door, Lucas greeted Officer Daniels, a tall figure with a stern face but kind eyes. "Good to see you, Rex," he said, bending down to pat the dog. The reunion was touching, but the gravity of the visit wasn't lost on anyone. Rex's tail wagged furiously as he approached Officer Daniels, his eyes shining with recognition and affection. Daniels knelt, allowing Rex to nuzzle against him, their bond evident in the silent exchange. "Missed me, buddy?" Daniels whispered, scratching Rex behind the ears. The room was filled with palpable emotion, a testament to the deep connection forged between a handler and his canine partner during countless missions and shared experiences. After the touching reunion, Cora and Lucas took a deep breath, readying themselves to recount their concerns yet again. With each detail shared, Officer Daniels' brow furrowed, his attention never wavering. He listened intently, occasionally nodding or asking a clarifying question. The weight of their words hung in the air, and the gravity of the situation became even more pronounced with another professional in the room. Once they finished, Officer Daniels leaned back, taking a moment before speaking. "Rex was one of the best dogs I ever worked with," he began, pride evident in his voice. "His instincts are sharp, and his training was rigorous. If he's acting protectively, it's not without reason." He delved into specifics about Rex's training, explaining how he was conditioned to sense and respond to various threats, emphasizing the dog's keen ability to pick up on subtle cues. Lucas and Cora exchanged worried glances. While they were grateful for the insights, the underlying issue remained. They didn't know the nature of the threat they faced. The unknown loomed large, casting a shadow over the family's sense of security. "We just want to understand," Cora murmured, her voice tinged with desperation. "We need to know how to protect our family." Officer Daniels nodded, understanding their concerns. "Given the circumstances, I recommend increasing security around your home," he suggested. "Setting up surveillance cameras would be a good start. They'll provide an extra set of eyes and might help us pinpoint any unusual activity." The couple agreed, eager to take proactive steps. As the evening wore on, plans were set in motion, and the family determined to ensure their safety and understand the root of Rex's behavior. The evening sun cast long shadows as Officer Daniels and Lucas began installing cameras at strategic points around the house. Cora watched, handing them tools and occasionally consulting on camera angles. The children, curious about the activity, asked questions, their innocence contrasting with the serious undertone of the task. By nightfall, the house was transformed into a monitored fortress, every entrance and window under electronic surveillance. In the quiet darkness of their bedroom, Cora and Lucas lay side by side, the weight of the day's events pressing down on them. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside, amplified their anxiety. They held on to each other, seeking comfort in their shared warmth, but sleep remained elusive. The digital clock on the nightstand, ticked away the hours, marking a night dominated by concern and uncertainty. Throughout the night, Rex moved with purpose. He patrolled the house's perimeter, his ears perked and nose constantly sniffing. Every so often, he'd pause, his body tense, before resuming his watch. His dedication was unwavering, a testament to his training and innate protective instincts. Even in the stillness of the night, Rex remained on high alert, ensuring the safety of his family. Dawn's first light found the family gathered in the living room, eyes heavy with fatigue. With a few clicks, Lucas began playing the footage from the cameras. They watched intently, searching for any anomaly or sign of intrusion. Hours of footage rolled by, showing the quiet comings and goings of nocturnal wildlife and the occasional car passing by. But as the morning wore on, nothing seemed amiss. Just as relief began to settle in, Cora's phone rang, jolting everyone. The caller ID displayed Officer Daniels' name. She answered, her voice hesitant. "Hello?" The urgency in Daniels' voice was unmistakable. "Cora, I need you to listen carefully," he began, his tone serious. The room's atmosphere shifted instantly, the family bracing themselves for what was to come. The doorbell rang, and Cora quickly ushered Officer Daniels inside. He carried with him a laptop and some additional equipment. Setting up in the living room, he connected the laptop to the television. "Let's go through the footage together," he suggested. Lucas played the recordings, and the room was filled with the silent images of the previous night, everyone watching intently for any sign of irregularity. As the hours of footage rolled on, a particular segment caught Daniels' eye. "Pause there," he instructed. The screen displayed a shadowy figure, barely discernible, lurking at the edge of their property. The mysterious individual seemed to be observing the house, their intentions unclear. The room's atmosphere grew tense, the reality of a potential threat becoming all too real for Cora and Lucas. With the unsettling discovery, the family's sense of security was shaken. Daniels recommended additional measures. Motion sensors, alarms for all entry points, and perhaps even a security detail for a few days, he listed. Lucas nodded, willing to take any steps necessary to protect his family. By evening, their home resembled a fortress, every potential vulnerability addressed and fortified. Despite the added security, Cora and Lucas couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every shadow, every rustling leaf seemed to hint at hidden dangers. They found themselves constantly checking the cameras, peering through windows, and second-guessing every noise. The weight of constant vigilance was exhausting, and the couple yearned for a return to their once peaceful life. In the midst of the tension, Rex remained a steadfast protector. His calm demeanor, his watchful eyes, and his unwavering presence provided a much-needed sense of comfort. Whenever the anxiety became too much, Cora or Lucas would find solace in petting Rex, drawing strength from his loyalty and dedication. The bond between the family and their canine protector grew even stronger, a beacon of hope in uncertain times. As the family and Officer Daniels continued reviewing the footage, a particular segment caused everyone to gasp. The cameras had captured a shadowy figure attempting to pry open the garage door. The intruder's face was obscured, but the intent was clear. The realization that someone had tried to break into their home sent shivers down Cora and Lucas's spines. The threat was no longer just a feeling. It was real. Without wasting a moment, Officer Daniels made a call, his voice crisp and authoritative. Within minutes, police cars surrounded the residence, their lights casting an eerie glow. Officers combed the area, gathering evidence and interviewing neighbours. The family's home became a hive of activity, with law enforcement working diligently to trace the intruder. Late into the night, a radio call announced a potential lead. A suspicious individual had been spotted nearby, fitting the description of the intruder. What ensued was a heart-pounding chase through the neighbourhood streets, with police cars weaving and sirens blaring. The family watched from their windows, hoping for a resolution. The pursuit culminated in a dramatic standoff, with the suspect cornered in an alley. With nowhere to run, he was apprehended and taken into custody. At the police station, faced with the undeniable evidence, the intruder confessed. His intentions, while not fully revealed to the family, were clear enough to warrant serious charges. The threat had been neutralized. The following morning, the household was awash with relief. The danger had passed, and their home was once again their sanctuary. Cora and Lucas, with tears in their eyes, hugged Officer Daniels, their gratitude immeasurable. But the biggest hero was Rex, who had sensed the threat long before anyone else. The family gathered around him, showering him with affection, their bond stronger than ever. In the aftermath of the capture, the family sought to understand the root of Rex's altered behaviour. It became evident that his police training had enabled him to pick up on subtle cues that went unnoticed by everyone else. The adopted dog was behaving strangely because he had figured out that someone was planning on robbing his new family's house. During the interrogation, the thief reluctantly admitted to having staked out the house for days, planning the perfect time to strike. His presence, the slight noises he made, the shadows he cast, all had been detected by Rex. The dog's heightened alertness and protective behaviour now made perfect sense. He was responding to the very real threat that lurked outside their home. The thief's confession painted a chilling picture. He had been observing the family's routines, noting when they left the house and when they returned. This prolonged surveillance was what Rex had sensed, triggering his protective instincts. Every growl, every bark, and every restless night was his way of signalling the danger that was inching closer to the family he had come to love. Word quickly spread throughout the community about the attempted break-in and Rex's instrumental role in alerting the family. Neighbours, friends, and even strangers stopped by to pat Rex on the head, labelling him a hero. The local newspaper ran a front-page story titled "Retired Police Dog Thwarts Robbery," detailing the events and praising Rex's unwavering dedication. Soon, larger news outlets picked up the story. TV crews arrived, eager to capture footage of the heroic dog and interview the grateful family. Rex, with his shiny coat and proud stance, became an overnight sensation. The narrative was clear. A retired police dog in his new home had prevented a potential tragedy, showcasing the value of his training and the depth of his loyalty. The incident, while harrowing, had an unforeseen consequence. The bond between Rex and his family grew even stronger. They realised that he wasn't just a pet, he was their guardian, their protector. Nights were now filled with Rex curled up beside the children's beds, and mornings began with grateful hugs for their four-legged hero. The family was whole, safe, and united thanks to Rex. In gratitude for his unwavering protection, the family decided to throw a small party in Rex's honour. The backyard was adorned with balloons and banners reading, "Our Hero Rex." Neighbours and friends joined the celebration, bringing along treats for the guest of honour. As Rex happily munched on his favourite snacks, the children regaled the guests with tales of his bravery, emphasising how he had sensed the impending robbery. Inspired by the recent events and eager to deepen their bond with Rex, Lucas and Cora embarked on training sessions with him. They practiced commands, agility drills, and even some playful tricks. These sessions not only honed Rex's skills, but also strengthened the trust between the dog and his family. Each training day ended with laughter, treats, and a sense of accomplishment. With the threat behind them, the family returned to their peaceful routines. Mornings were filled with the sounds of children's laughter, and evenings saw the family gathered around the fireplace, Rex sprawled contentedly at their feet. The shadow of danger had lifted, replaced by a comforting sense of security, knowing that Rex was always on the lookout. Time passed, and Rex settled into his well-deserved retirement. A montage of memories showcased his golden years, chasing balls in the backyard, accompanying the kids on their adventures, basking in the sun, and enjoying long, restful naps. His once jet-black muzzle now sported a touch of grey, but his eyes remained as alert and loving as ever. The story drew to a close with a heartwarming scene of the family and Rex sitting on the porch during a serene sunset. The adopted dog, who had once behaved strangely because of the looming threat, had truly found his forever home. In the embrace of a family that cherished him, Rex symbolized trust, love, and protection, a testament to the unbreakable bond between humans and their loyal companions.